Hello and welcome to the Dutchin channel. It's Saturday the 20th of April 2024, just gone 8:15 in the evening, and it's time for the results show. And it's been another good day for us today. We're on a profit of £206.60. So we'll just get the page up. And you can see I'll just take that from the bottom. You'll see in the bottom right hand corner 206.60. And again, this is on it's not a new system, as I keep saying, it's just an older one that I've decided to give another go. Now we'll start with air. We had 6 bets there, totaling £300. And we made a loss of £7.04. But we did have 2 winners and 2 part winners there. Then we'll move into the Newbury card, where we staked £250. And we made a profit of £39.93, and that included 2 winners and 2 part winners. Then we didn't have time to do every meeting today, but I did put an extra 2 meetings on this morning, which were Brighton and Nottingham. And Brighton started at 6 minutes past 4, and we had 7 bets here, totaling £350. And we made a profit there of £123.71, including 3 winners and 2 part winners. And then at Nottingham, we had 5 bets there, totaling £250. And we came out there with a £50 profit. So most of our profit has come from the evening meetings. But we did really, really well. So if we go into the profit and loss sheet here, you can see it's been a bit inconsistent with the wins and the loses going through. But hopefully now we're back on track. And for the stakes that I use of £50 per race, I'm now in front for the month, £208.11. Doesn't sound a lot in 20 days, £10 a day, but it's a profit. So everybody else that joined me and came in to be a member, and you can still subscribe now if you want to do that. With the people on board at the moment, they've just got in front themselves, and that's £4.16 to a pound stake. So I'm really happy with the way that it's turning out. There's only 10 days left in the month, but it is pretty good so far how we've turned this round from bad losses. But we're going to look at today's races. And what I want to show you, like I did yesterday, is I've made this bigger so you can see it there easier. But it is a bit complex, because when I go back to the left here, that's all the form, which you're not actually going to be able to see that, because I've had to move it on to the result side of it. So we'll start with the 115 at air today. We had Tommy's Oscar, which was one of our part winners, but it wasn't far short of our money back anyway. And Trap Rain Law finished second. The favourite is Sam Bruet. We didn't fancy it anyway. We had that to come 5th. And you might be able to see a difference in when you look at this, is that, like going through the other system that I used, it may have been a selection from right at the bottom that wins, and it was so inconsistent, and I just couldn't carry on with it no more. There was days where I was struggling to get winners. Then I thought, well, I've got to turn it round and do a lay system. I've got to use a value system. I tried everything. And then I've come back to this one. This one does consistently work, but so does the other one. But I don't know what had gone wrong, as I said, whether it was the bad weather that kicked in at the end of March, which it did. I won't know if it's anything to do with that at all. But going into the second race at Ayr, this was the 150, a well-timed ride from Sharjah here in Paul Townend. The horse hadn't run over that distance before. He just kept waiting and waiting, and then he just let it go. But I did have Ballycoos there to win that, and I thought from a way out that perhaps he could win. 14.4. We had the second, third, and fourth. So I was quite happy again, even though we lost that one. I thought, well, at least I'm getting horses in the frame. And in the third race, the 225, you can see we just clipped the last one which won it. That was Favour and Fortune. But this time we didn't have the second or the third, but we just crept into the winner there. That was most of our money back. Then into the 3 o'clock Ayr. Again, this was a big price winner of 18, and we duly got that one. I thought Coco Mademoiselle was going to win it. We would have had that and a bit of a profit, but of course, Check Her Out was the better one to have there. So if you went on and watched the videos this morning, there would have been piles and piles of winners that you could have took from what I gave today. Then it was time for the Scottish National. And even though I didn't back the winner, and it was quite a way down here, that was McDermott, which apparently was one of the favourites in the week, and drifted out to 27.70. But I did have Surrey Quest. And at one point, I'm sure it headed McDermott going to the line. And it just got done a nose. So, that could have been another winner that we added today. I was sure that was going to win. But at least, again, I've had a run for me money in the National, which I haven't had in the last two, the Irish one and the English one, because my system didn't bring anything up. Then in the 410, I didn't really take much notice, like I don't, of the trainers, the jockeys and anything else, but Paul Townsend rode this one home. Chosen Witness returned at 24, and that was my top selection. So if you followed that in, well done. And you'll see that I actually had the TriCast in that race as well, with Major Fortune and I Love My Bay. So that was another good win. Then in the 445, I said that I won't be backing odds-on favourites, and when I mean backing them, they've got to be my top selection. If I back 3 or 4 horses before I get to that, that's a different matter. But this one here went off at 1.73, duly won, but you can see that I've just left that as it is. That was a no betting race for me, but it was a winner. And then in the last race at Ayr, because what I did today, I put all the races of the cards out because I was on time to do it. So this had 4 horses that had never seen the track before, and my advice, even if you wanted to have backed one, you'd have backed the top one. But I can't bet in races where they haven't run before, and of course, the one that won it went off second favourite at 6.4. And you can see what can happen. You always leave them races alone, and those favourites, odds on. They're not worth doing long term. Then we went to Newbury. This was okay as well, Hamish. I managed to get me money back in this race because I had gone for a rest and a poor running from Machaba as well. Both of those two run appallingly, really. I mean, the rest decides he's going to take it up about 3.5 out and go for home. I don't even understand where that came from. So we had Hamish, but again, it was our money back there, just over. Then the 205. I did like that Relief Rally last year. But the second selection I gave was the winner. Won at 6.8, won well. Not sure it's a classic in the making, that, but it won well. Then in the 240, this Zoom looked good. I think it should have won, to be honest. I think there was a couple of places early on in the race it cost itself. But I didn't have Esquire. All right, it's only a couple of places underneath. It wasn't like it was the bottom one tailed off. But if you watched the video earlier, you would have seen that I did mention that I used to do timings of horses. So Ballymount Boy won last time out, which I had at the end of last year. But that ran appallingly today, came last. But the other one I said to you to look for on the best timed horse in the race on average was El Bondon. And a big price at 35.4, dead heated for second. So you would have got a nice each way bet on that one. But I didn't want to confuse things and start saying about different systems and, but I wouldn't have backed it anyway. I had bets in that race and I lost, and that was it. Then in the 315, this was a big handicap. It didn't really matter, but I wanted this Godwinson to come up and nail Metal Merchant. But I was lucky, it was 16.5. Only had the last dregs on it, if you like, of £1.41, but it was better than nothing. But Godwinson, not far off there, and that could have been another win for us. So if we're not getting a draw here, we're sort of unlucky. So I'm happy with this at the moment. Now, this was another no betting race for me because there was horses in it. As you can see, there's 6 horses there that had never run before. And I did say about backing this top one Economics if you wanted to there, but I wouldn't have touched it at 1.66. But it duly won, came late, won well. And then in the next race was the same again. It was like a Division 2 of the maiden stakes. We got 3 horses here that had never run before. Hidden Law won really well. I wasn't sure it was going to win at one point, and then he sort of just tapped it, moved it forward, and won as you liked. I think it was something like 5.5 lengths or something, but it was a very, very impressive performance. And what I say about these ones that haven't run before, Clockmaker finished second. So you can see that the points were not that great. The only one over 80 was Hidden Law. But again, this went off at odds on. I wouldn't have backed it anyway, even if they'd all have run before. Then in the 5 o'clock, this was another big handicap. And I had quite a few selections here, but a lot of them were outsiders. And again, if you watched the video this morning, you'll have seen that I mentioned Carsid, and this duly won at 41. So that was great. But even though it was looking tight going to the line, I had the second Sweet Reward as well at 48. So the first and second there was no problem. Then we moved across to Nottingham this evening. This must have been, I would have said, not just the easiest winner of the day, but I thought this was going to be a certainty. But it went off at 1 to 9, but I know there's people out there that would want to put their life savings on it to win 11%, but good luck to you. But it did win like a 1 to 9 shot should have done. I've got it winning here by 22.5 lengths, but we didn't know anything about this Rock Armour. That was the problem in that race. And okay, it finished last of 3. I don't know if you saw the race, but it looked like a barrier trial. That's all it looked. No one broke into any kind of canter, nothing at all. So again, that would have been a no betting race for me. Then in the 525, we backed 5 horses. And again, you'll see most of these that I give at the top are not favourites. I do include them somewhere along the line. That's not my fault. That's just how it pans out. But Memo was due a win. It was overdue, really. So that had won at 10.5. So that brought us back in the game again. Then we had this race. I did mention this one. This is mostly the poorest race of the day, and I couldn't put anything on it this morning, as in prices, because no one wanted to bet on it. And it was terrible. I mean, the Dragon King 1.74. I don't know who would have backed that at that price, but only to have a rating of 71. I could never have done it. I mean, you were looking for something here that could have come out of the pack, and then what wins it? The lowest rated horse of the three that had run before. But I'd only run once. That's the form there, you know. I'd only run once, so I was never going to get interested in a race like that. Then into the 6.25. This come fast and late. Was never going to beat this. Ard Bracken come through, 13.5 winner. I had Contrast second at 34, and I had the third Spotlight Kid at 13.5, and you can see this is only just underneath. I mean, Seattle Time there went off favourite. Just one more horse and that would have fitted in nicely for me. And then in the 6.55, this was another race that I thought to myself, Clansman. This just scraped home the other night. It was carrying today £22 above the average, and I thought surely this can't win. But one horse I did like in this race, but I only had one line of form for it, was Young Merlin. But that one line of form was a lot higher. It was £8 higher than anything else. But the second selection I'd given was Queensland Boy. This came through and won it at 9.6. Clansman was beaten by that time. It was always going to finish second, and then suddenly Young Merlin came fast and late. I think if it would have been another 50 yards, it would have won by about 3 or 4 lengths. It was coming that fast at the end there. But again, it was another 100% draw there, and I'm leaving a short price favourite out. Then in the 7.30, this was another one. I mean, the Big Bear Hug, 1.94. I've got this to finish right down the list, just like the last favourite. I don't know what people out there are taking these on. But as they were coming down to the final furlong, you could have thrown a blanket over the first 5 and just said, well, who's going to win that? And as it happened, my top selection there, Power Response, came through at 9.92. And you most probably could have had the forecast there with Giselle's Defence at 9.24 if you do combinations. Then in the last race at Nottingham, the 8 o'clock, which was my race, the last race of the evening as well, and I thought to myself, I've got 4 out of 6 here. Let's hope. But this Cypria Diaspora just wouldn't lie down at all. And Yenga was coming there strongly and just couldn't get up. So that was a winning favourite to end the evening at Nottingham. I fancied that with Sharpie, but that was a poor run as well. And even Emerald Army, this first time in a handicap, I thought to myself that must have a little bit of a squeak. But these top 2 I had were poor. Then we move across to Brighton, where that was an 8-race card there. And the first race, we had another shorty, Haymaker. Yep, I had to put it in at the end. But my top selection, Conquistador, at quick and clear. But if Haymaker hadn't made the mistakes it did early on in the race, I think it would have reversed. I think it would have won it. So that was another nice little winner at 10.3. Then we move into the 440. This is always going to be a no bet for me because, as you'll see there, we've got 4 horses that had never run before. And you guessed it, one of those was the winner at 14.5. But the one I did expect to be somewhere would have been Bob the Bandit. Not a bad price, 5.5. Didn't even show. So that was a poor running from Bob the Bandit. And then we move into the 5.15 at Brighton. Horse in form that I didn't have was Thoughtful Gift. Otherwise, I had pretty much everything else covered except this Daisy Roots that I thought would finish last. But I only had 8 lengths from number 1 selection to the outsider. It was always going to be a tight race. But I didn't have the winner or the second, so I don't really want to spend too much on that. Then in the 5.45, Insured went off favourite here. And it always was placed well. I thought it was going to win from a long way out. And Suffragette, I had it covered anyway because I had the second backed. So that was another winner for us. And then this was the race that I was telling you about this morning. You need to follow this horse. You need to put that in a tracker or somewhere. It's one of those horses. I will do a video on this because they're waiting to plot this horse up, and I know because of the form it's got. It's got 3 lines of form that are rated in the 70s, but it's actually properly rated by the BHA of about 42. So they can put that in a 0 to 55 handicap. Maybe they might try and run it in a 0 to 50 classified. But this is going to come in at a very big price at some point. So this is something that they don't all win straight away. And this is now run twice. And for the price it's gone off today, which is 109, and finished 6th. And if you watch that race backwards and forwards and stop it and everything else, this horse is way too good for that class. So I know at some time this is going to get backed off the boards. It's down to run on Tuesday at Wolverhampton. Maybe they're waiting for the all-weather on it. I'm not so sure. Maybe today was just something to throw it out and it's going to go in Tuesday. I'm not sure about that yet. I need to do a little bit more work on it. But this horse is definitely for the notebook. But funny enough, my second selection underneath it, which was Chormo, and you can see the price there at 19.9, actually won the race. So I'd won on that, and the favourite was coming late and fast there, the Grey Global Tycoon. Was never going to get there, but, you know, another half a furlong I think it would have done. So just put that top one in your notebook. And then we'll go now into the 6:45 race at Brighton. This was another favourite that I didn't really fancy today. This was Chinthurst. And I thought it was beat at one point, and it just kept finding more and more. I thought Gilbert was going to win it. And then this Irizumi came from nowhere. And this was the rank outsider at 114. It managed to get second. But this Chinthurst done well, to be honest. Pulled out more and more towards the end. But that was a loser. Then in the 7.20 at Brighton, we backed, I fancied this Local Bay today, but it did absolutely nothing. So it's all right to have a system where you think, I think that might win, but the price tells you it's not going to run, is it? So you still got to back them. So getting down to my 4th selection here, which was Intercessor. And of course, that just went off favourite at 3.3. We had enough money on that to make a nice profit, so that was handy. But we didn't back the second or the third there. And then in the last race, I don't even know how this horse, Uncle Dick, goes off at 2.62. All right, I know I've got it there. But it's another horse that baffles me how it went off as short as it did and won as convincingly as it did. But it was another winner for us. We didn't have it full, but a winner was a winner. It was plenty of profit on it. So I was really happy with the day. Everything's now going the way I want it to go. I won't be doing another video tonight with tomorrow's selections. I will be putting them on straight tomorrow because I'm nowhere finishing those and they won't get done tonight. So I will do them for tomorrow. I will sit here, watch the football tonight and do the selections as I go. But they could still take me another 4 or 5 hours yet. So I'm not going to bother rushing those through and putting them on at 2 o'clock. I'll be well asleep by then. But I will be up about 5 o'clock to continue. So that's about it for today. So if you're happy with the system and you've backed a few from that today, let me know. And of course, if you want to join the members up and start profiting, which is what we've just turned this month around, then you're welcome to add to that as well. But it's good to have seen the highs, what we had in March, and then some terrible lows at the start and middle of this month, and to watch it all turn around. And we're not out the woods yet. This is the first time we've seen a profit. Tomorrow could go back to level again. But at the moment, we're in front, and let's keep it this way. So thanks for watching, and as I said, I will put up the selections for tomorrow's racing at somewhere around 9 o'clock, I would think. Thanks very much.